Thank you so much for watching YouTube. I'm super excited continuing our series on Who's the Holy Spirit. And today we're going to look at some impossibilities. And I would venture to say that you have some impossibilities in your life. You kind of feel like God has spoken to you about some things that just seem like thoroughly impossible. And I want to encourage you today that the Holy Spirit does the impossible and specializes in impossibility. And I say that based on Luke chapter 1. In Luke chapter 1, we see a couple of impossibilities. First of all, we see Zacharias. He's married to Elizabeth, and they are both, we know them to be the parents of John the Baptist. But this couple, what's impossible for them is that they are so old that they cannot have children, and they've never had children. And yet when Zacharias goes into the temple, he has an angelic visit, and the angel Gabriel says to him, "Dude, your wife's going to get pregnant." And Zacharias is like, "Yeah, right, never going to happen." And because of his unbelief, basically the angel tells him, "Okay, dude, you're going to be mute for 9 months. You can't speak because of your unbelief. If you can't say something positive, zip, we're zipping it." And the impossible becomes a reality because Elizabeth gets pregnant. And I love this because when she gets pregnant, and you can see Mary, her cousin, comes to visit her. And in verse 41, when Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, it says the baby in her womb leapt. She was pregnant up to this point. The baby in her womb leapt, and it says that Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. And you know, even Mary, when you think about Mary and you read about her in chapter 1, Luke chapter 1, the angel visits her and says, you know, "You're going to have a supernatural baby." And she's like, "Wow, you know, I'm a virgin. How does that happen?" And the angel says to her, "The Holy Spirit will overshadow you in the power of the Most High." The Holy Spirit specializes in the impossible. And then you see that Mary is filled with the Holy Spirit. And all of this happens because of the Holy Spirit coming and overshadowing her. And then finally, at the end of chapter 1, verse 67, it says Zacharias himself was also filled with the Holy Spirit. And I just want to encourage you that the Holy Spirit is an integral part of making the impossible turn into a reality. And I want to encourage you today because for many of you watching, myself included, there are things that seem impossible. And even in my prayer time this morning, I was talking with God. I'm like, you know, this seems impossible, but I know with the Holy Spirit, I know with God, based on Luke 1:37, nothing is impossible with God. So I encourage you today, maybe it's time to surrender and yield those things that seem impossible. Give those into the Holy Spirit's hands, if you will. Yield those up. Give those up and say, "Yep, with you, all things are possible." And when we do that, then the Holy Spirit has the opportunity, the space to maneuver and make the impossible turn into a reality. So I just encourage you today, God's got amazing things for you, and God absolutely wants to turn the impossible into a reality with our cooperation, letting the Holy Spirit participate in our daily living. And of course, I'd love to have you get my newest book, In Step with the Spirit. Some great stories, and there's some chapters in here. One of the chapters, one of my favorite chapters, talks about dealing with direction and getting direction from God. And what happens if you have a closed door? What do you do with a closed door? And what does the Holy Spirit have to say? And how does the Holy Spirit navigate us in decisions and journeys and the path of life when there's a closed door? So I encourage you, grab this book. Huge, huge resource for you. Great benefit. Of course, it's on Amazon. Super easy to get. And pass it on to your friends because it'll be a great blessing. Love to obviously get your feedback. Give me a thumbs up, some kind of comment. It's great. I really love it. I like to interact with you too. It's lots of fun for me. And then as well, I'd love to have you subscribe because this is kind of a weekly thing. And I love that it's short, but super helpful and encouraging to you. And obviously, maybe the best part of the whole thing are the jokes, right? Depending on your point of view. So here's your joke for today. When was the first tennis match in the Bible? Any ideas? When Joseph served in Pharaoh's court. I know, cheesy as the day is long, but thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next week.